Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Living TV show and podcast. We are live on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, and my YouTube channel. And today we will be talking about managing your stress during the holidays, part 2. Well, and so we're going to be talking about what can you do, the 3 principles of self-care to help you stay balanced and peaceful during the holidays, techniques to simplify your holiday routine, and the number 1 mistake that can lead to burnout and how you can avoid it. So, and you can join us in the chat. Together, let's create a life you love, a life and business that you love. And I'm your host, Nancy Deutsch, licensed clinical social worker, certified hypnotherapist, and intuitive business expert. I combine my counseling, coaching, and intuitive abilities to transform your life. And this show is not a replacement for therapy or counseling. It is for educational purposes only. So let's start with, because it's been a few weeks since we were live, and I really want to go back and dive into some of the questions that came in last show and re-answer them. And some of them I didn't answer. I said I would save it to the next show. So here we go. So we had a question around stress and what stress is. And so let me go over a little bit about what stress actually is. And how do you know that you're being, how do you know what stress feels like? Anastasia had asked, what does stress even feel like? So one of the stress is actually the body's way of taking care of ourselves. There's a stress response. And this response is every single animal has it. It's a protective, instinctive response in order to survive. And what happens with stress is you can go into aggressive mode. There's fight, which is aggression, flight, which is hiding or fleeing the situation, or freeze, where you shut down. And then there's a new one that they called, which is fawn, which is actually people-pleasing behaviors. So what happens is, first of all, we need some stress in our lives to function, and that they study and research showed that we actually need a certain amount of stress. But what's happened in our society, and it doesn't matter where you live in the world, because if you're in the Western world in some way, shape, or other, and in a more developed country, then you are probably subjected to the potential of having chronic stress. And so what happens is when you have that chronic stress, that's where the problem comes in. Because that chronic stress, it's not just boom, protective reaction, it's your body is in that chronic condition. Now, what happens is we have different levels of stress. Sometimes we're not as stressed as others, and sometimes we're more stressed. People tend to get more stressed during the holidays. The holidays seem to trigger more stress. So that so what does stress feel like? How do you know that you're stressed? Well, if you feel tense and you can feel that tenseness in your body, you may have anxiety, or maybe you turn stress into depression. Or stress can be something, it could be when you have the stress, like when you have the stress response, if you're in danger, you will start to see symptoms like your heart starts pumping, you may get butterflies, you're on heightened alert. When you have the chronic stress, and you may stay hyper vigilant in that place of on constant alert. And again, it's learning. Now, the holidays can trigger more stress. And what I want to support you is that this information is for any time of the year. It's for any of you that are feeling stressed out, yes, during the holidays, but any time of year. So, and we're going to get more specific around holidays, but I just wanted to put that out. And so, Anastasia had also asked, how do you feel stressed? Do you feel it all the time, or just when it is present? And what you'll notice is that when you're feeling more stressed, you will notice your body reacting. And like your heart pumps, you have shallow breathing. You know, for those of you who listen to the show ongoing, I'm always talking about breathing, because what happens is when you're in that state, everything goes to support the body in protection, the fight, flight, freeze reactions. And so what happens is this is about learning to take deep breaths, because believe it or not, those deeper breaths can actually help the nervous system like that. So everybody, take some deep breaths with me right now. Let's do it right now together. So take a deep breath in, and I like to talk about the belly breathing, which is hands on your belly, so that you can notice when your breath goes in, your belly goes out. And your breath, when you breathe out, when you're releasing, Anastasia says, thank you. My pleasure, Anastasia. I wanted to make sure that we went over the questions, and I have more from Misty and Mickey. So stay tuned, all of you. So take the belly breath. Okay, so you're going to take a deep breath in, and your belly's going out. So all together now. Your belly goes out, and on the out breath, your belly's going to go in. And take another deep breath in, belly out. And on the out breath, belly goes in. And take one more deep breath. and your belly goes out on the out breath. And you may even want to extend the out breath, because what they find is extending the out breath helps you. And I got to take a drink of water. And so I really, really want to support all of you to remember your breath. What happens very often when you're in the stress reaction, you may forget. So I'm going to support you to hear my voice. Hear my voice in those moments of stress. And hear my voice saying, take a deep breath. Allow yourself to breathe. Breathe and relax. So remember my voice in those moments to help you breathe and calm down and relax. And Mickey says, staying hydrated is necessary. Yes. Taking care of your body, and this is self-care that we're going to be talking about even more, is staying hydrated is very, very important. It's part of an essential self-care. So yes. So last show, and since we have Mickey here, and I have Misty's thing too, but I'll do something that Mickey had brought up, which she had said last show, under stress, people can make bad decisions. And let's talk a little bit about that and what happens during those bad decisions. Okay, so before I jump into bad decisions, Anastasia asks about, does hydrating the body help stay out the stress? So here's the thing. The way that I look at it, and I am not a nutritionist, so but from my point of view, what happens is when you stay hydrated and you're supporting your body functions, it helps with your body functioning. Now, what happens is if you are dehydrated, it will and can affect your nervous system. So what happens is if you're dehydrated in some way, and it can affect all the different systems in the body. And so the more hydrated you stay, yes, it can help stress because it can help the nervous system function better. Remember, we are 70% water. So we need water to survive. So remember that. Drink your water and enjoy your water, precious water. So, yes. So back to bad decisions under stress. Okay. Misty says hydration helps the body function and it is best. Yes. Thank you, Misty. So why do people make bad decisions under stress? Well, what happens is stress narrows your perspective. When you are stressed out, and that's why bad decisions increase during the holidays or when you're really stressed. And that could be any time of year. It could be anything that's happening to you. If you could be having financial stress in your life, in your business, you could be having health challenges, and all of those challenges can add to the stress. So what happens is that when you are stressed out, you can act too quickly. You're not thinking, you're not slowing down, because one of the key things is slowing down. And I'm all for making decisions from that intuitive place. And it's really important to be able to slow down so that you're not making decisions from a stressed out or rushed or hurried place. Sometimes you may avoid decisions altogether. That's if you're in flight mode, you may be wanting to bury your head in the sand. Or if you're in freeze, you may just totally shut down and you don't make any decisions because of stress. Then sometimes what happens is you may overpromise and you end up doing too many promises, and then you'll shut down. You go on overwhelm. And so that it's like you end up shutting down. And that can happen a lot over the holidays when I'll get to Misty's comment in a second. When you are getting all these invitations for holiday gatherings and holiday functions, and you may get so stressed out because you're saying, I'll go here, I'll go there, I'll go this, I'll go that. You overpromise, and then you just shut down in some way or get overwhelmed. And overwhelm can lead to shutdown. You end up in a bad decision where you choose what feels easiest instead of what is healthiest. And you may withdraw from allowing yourself to be supported and having healthy relationships. So what will help you respond better is slowing down, is the deep breathing, is not over promising. And we are going to get to the self-care strategies because I want to make sure that you have them. And so all of those are really important for you during this holiday season and any time that you're feeling stressed out. Really important. Now, Misty says, you may jump in the moment thinking without putting thoughts in, and bad thinking happens. Yes, exactly, Misty, exactly. So what happens is you're stressed out, you jump into a decision, and then you're like, oh, why did I do that? Then you start regretting it, and then you may beat yourself up. And I'm going to say, stop, breathe, slow down. And ask yourself, okay, really, you do not owe anybody a decision right away. Now, if there's a sale and you have a time pressure, you need to ask yourself, is this for my highest and greatest good? You want to ask. You want to slow down. You want to quiet your mind and breathe. And one of the ways that you can do that is I have my meditation, and the meditation can help you make better decisions, especially during the holiday season and all year round. So during the meditation that I have, it's helping you to clear your energies, connect with a higher aspect of yourself, your higher self, that can help you make better decisions, and tuning in to find out what's the decision for your highest and greatest good. And so on the screen, it says inspired and empowered living.com/meditation. So it's inspired and empowered living.com/meditation. It's the name of the show, inspired and empowered living.com/meditation. So this meditation can really help you. So I really support all of you in getting that to help you during this time of year and all year round. to slow down and make better decisions. Now, I want to get back to another question that Misty asked, and we're going to go to the question Misty asked last show. So Misty said, do you have time? And yes, now we have time. I'm giving you the time. So what do you do when people lash out due to stress? Some people do things out of character when they get overwhelmed with the stress. So let's talk about that and explore that a little bit. So what happens why do people do that? Well, what happens with stress? Again, now this is also part of what happens is stress actually hijacks your brain, your nervous system, not only the brain, but the whole nervous system. And then what happens is during that time, it can lead to irritability. It could lead to impulsiveness. It can lead to saying things that you don't mean. And it could lead to overacting to small triggers. So if somebody's lashing out at you because they are stressed out, it's really important for you to remember, one, not to take it personally, and also to look at yourself. Are you feeling stressed out, and what's happening to you? So, and I also invite any of you to ask any more questions based on what I'm talking about. So usually when someone is lashing out, it's the way that it's that fight, flight, freeze reaction. And lashing out is the fight, aggressive reaction. If somebody is going inward or fleeing, they're in flight. Freeze, shut down, total shutdown. Like when you want to say something and you can't. But when someone lashes out, they're in aggressive mode. And so what happens is when someone is overwhelmed, and I also invite all of you to look at yourself and what happens for you when you feel stressed out. So when you or someone you know is overwhelmed, your capacity to handle stresses diminishes. So if your stress level increases, like for during the holidays, and let's say you've overcommitted and you're overwhelmed, your ability to you end up maybe misinterpreting people's comments, and you may think of it as criticism when that's not what they meant at all. Like you end up taking it on when it wasn't even about you, perhaps, or they may have said something innocently and you take it on as an attack. And remember I talked about the stress can lead to hypervigilance. That's part of what happens. And so something for all of you to think about. And then what happens is you or someone you know feels attacked easily. When you're stressed out, you can easily feel attacked. And again, going into that fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode. And what also happens during stress is that you may become defensive. You or they may become defensive or withdrawn. So I really want to remind you that if you know who they are when they're not stressed out, the stress may be affecting their character. And Misty, if there's something you'd like to add, like if there's something, a situation perhaps that you've noticed that you would like to share, if it feels comfortable, um, something that perhaps has happened, or maybe during a holiday gathering or something like that, we can also address that directly. And so, one of the ways is, how can you help yourself respond better? Okay. So, when you are stressed out, now, you can't make somebody who's stressed out, okay? You can't make somebody stop unless they're willing. What you could do, if someone's lashing out at you because they're stressed, one of the things I talk about is taking a timeout. And if you say to them in a healthy way, you say to them in a healthy way, I'm feeling right now like I just felt uh, I feel nervous, or I feel upset, or I feel hurt about what just happened. And I'm wondering what's going on for you. You can even ask. So Misty says, I see people overcommit. I see people overcommit and don't take time for their self and approach burnout. Yes. And then burnout can turn a person numb, and it's not good. Yes. Misty, you are so right and so correct. And I think that you're right that people are so stressed out, and what happens is they shut down, go on overwhelm, and get burnt out. And I do think that probably burnout is probably symptomatic in our day and age. I think that a lot of people are very stressed right now, because of the times, the uncertainty, a lot of things that are happening, and so it's been like that. And now during the holidays, it may be even increasing even more. Misty says burnout can make for bad decisions. That is correct. And that's why I wanted to talk about decision making. It's really important because, yes, burnout can lead to bad decisions. So let's talk about things that you can do. So, besides approaching someone, you know what you could do? You could say, you know what? I have a great show that I'd like to share with you to maybe help you slow down, relax, de stress. And so, practices. Now, again, remember, because overwhelm, fight, chronic fight, flight, freeze, fawn, bad decisions, burnout, all of those symptoms, they're all symptoms. Now, again, I want to say, and I'll get to Mickey's in shortly. What I want to say is that I'm talking about chronic. If you're in danger and there's safety issue, like we all need our fight flight reaction. Okay. It is part of the protective mechanism. Where it goes haywire is the chronic piece, where it's being chronically activated all the time or a lot of the time. And during the holiday season, you may go on chronic overwhelm or chronic burnout or chronic numbness. And so it's about learning what you can do to calm yourself down. And let's go to Mickey before I get into practices that Mickey says. I tell people to show up for this show all the time. Thank you, Mickey. I appreciate that. That's great. Yes, let's spread it around. I love it. Thank you. And I really appreciate all of you. All of you that come on and ask questions, and all of you that are listening live now, and all of you that listen on the podcast. So I'm appreciating all of you. So thank you. So, what can you do? What can you do to work on regulating your nervous system? Because remember, the stress reaction affects the nervous system. So, what the first one on the list? So Anastasia asks, how can you stop from getting to the chronic stage? So the best way to is awareness. It's learning to notice when you are on overwhelm or overload, or you've overcommitted. Like if you feel a symptom, especially during the holidays, is rush, 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 rush. I got to rush here. I got to go there. I got to do this. And if you're in that mode, slow down, breathe. The first thing for you to do to calm your nervous system is the deep breathing. So learn to become aware, because the more aware you are, the more you will be able to catch yourself into the chronic, catch yourself so that you can shift from that state, that chronic state, to a calmer state. Now, if you've been in chronic overwhelm or burnout or shutdown for a while, then you're going to need to practice. You're going to need to keep doing the practices to really work. This is about learning, and this is not only during the holiday season, but all year round. This is learning to practice. This is self-care. This is essential self-care, to practice these exercises so that you are learning every day more and more. The more you practice, the more it will start to become more easier. So awareness is the first thing, and then start doing deep breathing, start working on grounding exercises. So I talk about grounding exercises in some of the other shows, and briefly, a quick grounding exercise is breathing and feeling your feet. Grounding is when you are feeling in your body, you're feeling connected with the earth. Maybe it's going out in nature. Now, many of us are in winter. Some of you are living in the warmer weather, so it doesn't matter what time of year. But go out in nature, even in the cold. The cold will wake you up, and you can start to feel your body. One of the ways you know that you're not in, or that you are in chronic stress, is you're not connected with your body. You're in your head. If you're in stress and you're in your thinking mode, I call it thinking mode, you're in the past or the future, and you're not in present time. And again, that's awareness, to bring yourself back to present time, to do breathing, grounding, helping you to connect more deeply with yourself. And using mindfulness techniques. It's really bringing awareness to what you're doing in the present moment, or what you are feeling in your body, what you're thinking. Like, for example, here's my water. And instead of just drinking it without thinking, really notice. Notice. I like to drink it with a straw. That's me personally. Sometimes I like it straight from the glass. But you'll notice what when you're drinking your water, when you're eating your food, when you're walking, slowing down and becoming mindful actually helps your nervous system. Slowing your talking, slowing your movements, and breathing through it all. Learning to check in emotionally. Check in emotionally. Now, remember, this is all self care. This is all self care activities. This is huge, especially during this time of year. And this is for all year round, but during the holiday season, if you're feeling stressed out, you want to make sure that you're doing this even more. The more stressed out you are, the more you need to remind yourself, what am I feeling? Breathe, slow down, and tune in. What am I feeling? What am I feeling right now? And also really learning what's your truth. What parties, what gatherings do you want to go to? What ones do you want to skip? It's learning to tune in so that you know what feels good and what doesn't. And also, it's important to reframe your thoughts. Like if you notice that you're having negative thoughts, like even saying, I'm so stressed out, that is going to lead to more stress. But if you catch yourself and say, oh, listen to what I'm saying I'm so stressed out. What if I said, all right, I'm choosing. Now remember, when you are becoming more conscious of your thoughts, of your actions, of your behavior, you start making choices, conscious choices, and reframing. I'm so stressed out right now, too. I'm choosing to take a breath. I'm choosing to slow down. And I'm asking myself, what do I need to do right now for that self-care? And now self-care doesn't have to be, it could be in a minute. It could be in 5 minutes. Okay, so it doesn't have to be, you may need to do a minute or 5 minutes every hour, or you may need to do a few minutes during the course of the day. Because the more you practice, the more it's going to help your nervous system. And then you want to keep tuning into your intuition. Your intuition, really tuning in. What is your intuitive truth? Is it for your highest good to get that shiny object? Is it for your highest good to go to that holiday party? Is it for your highest good to take this particular action? Slowing down, breathing, asking, because the more you ground yourself, the more you breathe, awareness, breathing, grounding, tuning in, coming into your body, and asking. And asking, your intuition will guide you. And it guides you very often through your body. Like you think of a party that you've been invited to, and you're like, ooh, like it doesn't feel good. And your body's giving you a message. Oh, I don't really want to go. And it's learning to say no. No is self-care. And then it's listening to yourself is self-care. Listening to your body's reactions. Or maybe you get an invitation and you're like, ooh, that feels really good. I feel excited about that. If you go into have tos or shoulds, the obligation, you need to ask yourself, is this going to be for my highest good? Now, when you're in relationships, you really need to look at how important is it? How important, again, this is about learning priorities. Learning priorities also is important during the holiday season. Okay, so I know Anastasia had a question, so let's get to her question. Do different people have different stages or experience the stages differently? Yes. Yes. So what happens is when people react to stress in different ways and chronic stress in different ways. So one person may react to chronic stress by being aggressive. Going back to what Misty had asked, like when someone starts lashing out and they become aggressive. So they're reacting in an aggressive way to stress. Whereas another person may be like totally withdrawn. Like you wonder, are they here? Are they alive? Are they, what are they doing? Or they may isolate. And so they flee. Another person may freeze. And then there's the fawn, which is the people pleasing, like saying yes when you really want to say no. So, yes, people respond to stress and chronic stress in different ways. And it depends on what they learned growing up, how they learned. It depends on their parents or caretakers, because very often you learn how to deal with stress and chronic stress from when you were growing up. So it's an old pattern that you learned from many years ago. And that's why it's going to take practice to relearn and to calm yourself down and to tune in to what you need to take care of yourself during this time of year and all year round. I really want to emphasize that. Learning how to take care of yourself all year round. That is essential self-care. And so we talked about the bad decisions and talked about what happens when people lash out, and a lot about stress and how stress affects you and affects your body and affects your decision making and how you are with people or how people are with you. And we're going to go into more. I'm feeling that what I'd like to do is talk maybe more about how to reduce your relationship stress during the holidays, because very often what happens is the stress is coming from the relationships in your life. And we'll go into more about holidays and how to take care of yourself during the holiday season. So join me next week for more inspired and empowered living on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, my YouTube channel. And you can find and hear the podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, Amazon, and many more. And remember to breathe and ground. And I am wishing you all a very inspired and empowered day, night, and week. Have a great one, everybody. Bye for now.